The Democrats are not lifting a finger to remember the well over 100 people that have died in Texas Hill Country. What you are not being told by the media anywhere is that the death toll likely would not have been as high if it wasn't for DEI.
Is that true? Did children in Texas die in the July 4th Hill Country floods because of DEI? Is the Austin fire chief to blame for more deaths? Here is what we know. Welcome back to Come and Take It. Always wish that I was coming to you under better circumstances. Obviously, there were devastating floods in the Kerrville, Texas, Hill Country area. There are at least, this is obviously an ever-changing situation, but as of the end of last week, at least 129 people dead, another 179 people missing. This was a situation where there were a lot of out-of-towners that were in town in that area to celebrate July 4th. So the actual count was completely unknown as to how many people were there, how many people perished. And obviously there were some children's summer camps that made all of this. Obviously the loss of life is always tragic, but it made it just that more tragic talking about, a girls' summer camp where parents unknowingly drop their daughter off, kiss them goodbye, tell them they love them, and don't realize that that would be the last time. Try not to get emotional here. That would be the last time that they would ever tell their children, their daughters, that they love them, not knowing that they are about to drown and die in a devastating flood. So President Trump visited the area last week, and here is what he had to say about it.
It's hard to believe the devastation. Trees that are 100 years old just ripped out of the ground. I've never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of bad ones. I've gone to a lot of hurricanes, a lot of tornadoes. I've never seen anything like this. This is a bad one. We just visited with incredible families that, look, they've been devastated. They lost their child or two children, and just hard to believe what, I've never seen anything like it. A little narrow river that becomes a monster, and that's what happened. But the First Lady and I are here in Texas to express the love and support and the anguish of our entire nation in the aftermath of this really horrific and deadly flood.
Now, as I go through what we know, what we don't know, what is to blame, what is not to blame, obviously the issue of cloud seeding comes up. And we could talk about cloud seeding all day long. We could talk about the speculation. We could talk about, the very clear issues that people have, the very clear questions that people have with cloud seeding, because that is a thing. If you go to the website this is a Texas government website, they have weather modification projects that they are very clearly doing. And part of it is, of course, to modify the rainfall. And it's what they call cloud seeding. Cloud seeding had occurred very close to this particular area that flooded on July 2nd. And so there's a lot of speculation and conspiracy theory, whether it is true or not true, about whether that had anything to do with the flooding. And in fact, by the way, I don't know, those of you who are on the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, you may have heard it if you didn't go look it up. I was actually involved in an X space with the CEO of Rainmaker. Rainmaker is the company who cloud seeded just above where all of, a few days beforehand, where all of these torrential floods happened. And it was like an hour and a half space where he talked about it and dispelled, in his words, dispelled any of the rumors or any of the, conspiracies that perhaps cloud seeding had something to do with all of this flooding. He says it didn't. Obviously, we don't you can take him at his word, you can listen to it, or you can dig deeper. I'm just saying we don't have enough to either say yes or no on, I think personally. So I'll just say it's all speculation. We could talk about that. But for right now, we need to just put a pin in that and set it aside somewhere else until we get more answers and more understanding of what exactly cloud seeding is and how much it can contribute to the difference in rainfall and what it could do if it possibly goes wrong. So put a pin in that. We'll try to revisit that another time when we actually have things to point to and things that we know instead of just pure speculation. Let's look at what we do know, okay?
Put a pin in that.
Turning Point USA's Charlie Kirk. You guys know conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. I know him. He's a friend. He's a great guy. He's in trouble again from the left. And anytime you hear that Charlie is in trouble, usually you can pretty much know that something that he has said has been taken out of context. So let's listen to the comments that he had right after the Texas Hill Country flooding one more time.
The Democrats, they're so despicable. The Democrats are not lifting a finger to remember the well over 100 people that have died in Texas Hill Country. What you are not being told by the media anywhere is that the death toll likely would not have been as high if it wasn't for DEI. This Texas tragedy is just the latest example. It's not just incompetence. This is DEI working to undermine meritocratic institutions, and more people likely died than otherwise would have because of DEI.
Okay. Obviously, a very bold statement made by Charlie. So let's unpack it a little bit. All right. He is talking about the Austin Fire Chief. The Austin Fire Chief's name is Joel Baker. And if you're only taking Charlie at his word, which is, I'm sure, what a lot of the leftist media is doing, the hacks over at mainstream, lamestream legacy media are probably they're just taking him at his word. They're taking a 40-second clip and they're saying, oh, my gosh, Charlie Kirk said this guy was a DEI hire because he's black.
Gasp.
That's why he said, look at the guy, he's black. That's why Charlie Kirk said that. That's racist. Well, no, if you actually dig a little deeper, do a little bit more, maybe a little more than 5 seconds of your little Google research, okay, you're going to understand that what Charlie is getting at is, number one, when you're the fire chief, what should be your number one priority? We looked at this with the LA wildfires over in Los Angeles, over in that very beautiful area, Palisades. They had a fire chief there. And what we realized was that fire chief, by the way, they were out of water because our priorities were all screwed up. But it was the same deal in LA that we are talking about here with this Austin fire chief, when at the end of the day, what should be your number one priority when you are the fire chief? Putting out fires? Probably. Saving people's lives? Yeah, I hope that would be up there. Emergency reaction time? Yeah, probably. I mean, all of these things are all very respectable priorities. But this particular fire chief, the Austin fire chief, has gone on the record saying that he has diversity goals. Not like put fires out in record time goals, diversity goals.
Are you kidding me?
Let me read you from a local news outlet in 2020. They said the city of Austin made history when it hired its first African-American fire chief a little over a year ago. This is a quote from the first African-American fire chief. He said, I don't try to dwell on me being the first African-American fire chief because that's not important. What's important is that I'm not the last African-American fire chief. I don't know, sir. I think what's important is that you guys save as many lives as possible and put out as many fires as possible.
That's a good start.
I think what's important is emergency response time. I think what's important is making sure that you guys have the supplies that you need to put fires out and help people. I don't think that what's important is that you're not the last African-American fire chief. In fact, when I am looking at a fire chief, the last thing I am thinking about is what color their skin is. He goes on. One of my goals is really to increase the diversity at Austin Fire Department. Okay. It needs to reflect more of the community we serve because I believe the youth of Austin and our youth in general, you will be what you see those young African-American, young Latinos, people in the Asian community or LGBT community. If they see more firefighters that look like them, they will want to choose the Austin Fire Department as a career as well. So you mean to tell me you want to make sure that your firefighters not put out fires in record time are superhuman, saving machines. Make sure that they have a heart of helping people rather than, none of those are mentioned. You just think that if you put a bunch of gay, Latino, blacks, insert checkbox here, that the youth will be like, wow, oh, I'm gay. The firefighter's gay. I want to be a firefighter. That's just not how things work. It's just not how it works. But you know what? I guarantee you, if you had a young black, youth, male, female, whoever, you had a young black youth, okay, and they had their house burning down and they had a firefighter come in and save the day and keep minimal damage and save their families, I guarantee you that young black youth ain't going to care what the hell color skin that firefighter is. They're going to be moved by it, and maybe they'll consider it. I can guarantee you they'll consider it more than just, oh, I see a firefighter walking around that's my same color. That's what I want to be. Can we just stop? Like that's not how things work, okay? So that is, for the record, to Charlie Kirk's credit, that's the guy that you're dealing with here. That is Joel Baker himself. In his words, those are his goals, and I do think that that is relevant to the conversation about what happened in the Texas Hill Country, especially in light of what just happened with the Austin Firefighters Association.
What are the important things out there in Texas politics and Texas news that matter to you, and what can you do about it? That's what we want to bring you with the Luke Macias Show on a weekly basis for 20 to 30 minutes. That way you can get the information and go do something for the rest of your week. I look forward to coming to you every Wednesday.
So fast forward to July 4th, 2025, this unspeakable tragedy happens. Again, I don't need to go into the specifics. I know you all know them by now. Just absolute tragic drownings and deaths of young girls, of families, of residents, of pets. People's homes are gone. I mean, the tragedy just is still unthinkable out there in Hill Country as they continue to look. They've got to bring more dogs out there, to cadaver dogs, to try to sniff for bodies, because it's been so long and they still haven't recovered everyone. So the tragedy there is still happening. Okay, it's still unraveling. But we find out later from Austin Firefighters Association that Austin Fire Department actually had deployment orders by the state on July 2nd. And the Austin Firefighters Association president, his name is Bob Nix, he said that they had boat crews ready to go. They had guys ready to go out to the Hill Country before it even flooded. And they were told by the Austin firefighter chief to stand down.
That's ridiculous.
Bob Nix, representing the association, said in a Facebook post 3 days after what happened. So this is July 7th. The flooding happened July 4th. This is July 7th. They said, the Austin Firefighters Association said on their Facebook page, it brings the Austin firefighters no pleasure to report to the community that the Austin fire chief denied the deployment of Austin firefighters to Kerrville until very late into the event. So today, that's July 7th, with the exception of only 3 AFD rescue swimmers who helped staff helo teams, which were still not deployed until the afternoon of the 4th. So time out. Remember, they're saying July 2nd, they were told to go there, which means they could have been there by July 3rd. The tragedy didn't happen until July 4th. Now, admittedly, they've already said nobody expected the type of flooding that they had. Nobody was prepared mentally for that, but they would have at least had more boots on the ground to assist had they been allowed to go do that. I'll continue with the post. The Austin Firefighters Special Operation Teams are specially trained for Hill Country swiftwater rescue and are some of the best, if not the best, swiftwater boat teams in the state of Texas. It is absolutely outrageous that the Austin Fire Chief, Joel G. Baker, would not allow highly trained firefighters from Austin to respond to Kerrville. Because of this egregious dereliction of duty, lives were very likely lost because of Chief Baker's decision. Now, we're going to pause right there. You have to understand the severity. You have to understand just how serious it gets for a firefighters association to speak so pointed about the fire chief. I mean, they know that they are causing a world of trouble for themselves by speaking out against their city's fire chief. I mean, this is a big disaster to say these things. Lives were very likely lost because of Chief Baker's decision. That is not something that this firefighters association just decides to just flippantly make the decision to go write something like that on Facebook. These are men who are trained to save people, and these men are pissed that they weren't allowed to do that. They go on, deployment orders came down from the state of Texas on July 2nd. We would have been pre-deployed before the waters even began to rise. It is unforgivable that a fire chief would not allow his firefighters to answer the call to save lives. Why would Fire Chief Joel G. Baker do this, you may ask? Here's where it really gets interesting, guys. Here's what the Firefighters Association says. It was a misguided attempt to save money. From the president. We assume, right? This is the president of the Firefighters Association writing this. He says, I say, quote, misguided because the fire department is fully reimbursed by the state to deploy. I explained the reimbursement process to Chief Baker last week, and he failed to understand this very simple concept. We are disgusted with our fire chief. He needs to be held accountable and fired for his disgraceful dereliction of duty. So what is he saying right there? He's literally saying that the fire chief, which, by the way, there are countless news articles about this, the fire chief was concerned about being reimbursed by the state because he already had some sort of funds that he was like waiting for reimbursement on. So he didn't want any of his men deployed. That is what this firefighter president is saying.
Show me the money.
Imagine the fire chief, and he is literally saying, I explained this very simple process to him. I explained this very simple concept to him, and he still couldn't get it. He didn't understand it. Is that somebody that you have faith in to save people?
Absolutely not.
The same guy who says his stated goals are diversity and inclusion. He wants to make sure that there's gay firefighters so that if there's a gay guy who has a fire, he might want to be a firefighter someday. Is that the guy you think that might be able to, understand this very simple concept being explained to him? I want to play a clip of this Firefighter Association President Bob Nix at a press conference last week. Just listen to what he is saying and how emotional he gets saying it. And you tell me who you trust in this crisis. Watch.
I just don't even have words. Our firefighters are trained for that area. Our firefighters have the equipment. They have the desire. They have the will. They have the power to go up and actually, I know some of those girls could have been survived if we had had the best boat crew the day before on scene. I know it. I know it in my heart. I know it as a battalion chief. I know it as a former swiftwater tech myself. And the fact that we didn't do it and we let them down is it's unconscionable.
I mean, this guy wants to save lives. This guy is very clearly upset that they were not allowed to go in there and do what they are trained to do, what they are paid to do. That's why they're there. And so after that press conference, the Austin Firefighters Association held a vote. They overwhelmingly voted to pass a no confidence resolution for their fire chief. From another Facebook post that they had after the vote, they said, on July 11th, an overwhelming 93% of Austin firefighters cast a vote of no confidence in Fire Chief Joel G. Baker. Only 4% opposed. So for the numbers on that, they have them there. 93% is 927 votes to 36 votes. 927 firefighters voted that they had no confidence in this fire chief after the debacle, after the way that he handled the Texas floods. 36 votes opposed it. This vote follows serious concern over a failure in leadership, the media post continues, specifically the decision not to deploy life-saving swiftwater rescue resources to Kirk County during a time of urgent need, reportedly due to cash flow concerns. This is not about politics. It's about accountability and protecting public safety. I just don't know how you can even stand yourself if you know that you had the opportunity to deploy men to an area that just suffered tragic loss of life, loss of homes, loss of everything. I don't know how you can even look yourself in the mirror knowing that you were more concerned with budget and reimbursement than you were human life. And this is ultimately why, to Charlie's point, this is ultimately why DEI hiring is so dangerous, right? Like, you have the Austin Firefighters Association saying this guy was too incompetent to understand the reimbursement process. And you have to wonder, why was this guy hired? His goals are diversity and inclusion. He can't understand the reimbursement process. And by the way, he's telling his men to stand down during a crisis. So, I mean, you're left to draw your own conclusions, right? But that's why it's so dangerous to hire based off of diversity, equity, and inclusion, based off of some, affirmative action, based off of check boxes that you got to satisfy quotas. That's why that is so dangerous rather than hiring specifically based on merit, because now we've got questions about that guy. I've got questions about this guy. I don't care what color his skin is. I have questions about his goals. I have questions about why he was brought in. I have questions about his competency. And now, one thing is for sure. That man is not fit to lead a kindergarten class, let alone one of the largest fire departments in the state. And whether it was incompetency or evil, that can't happen again. Because in times of crisis, we need true leaders. We need leaders who are concerned with leading, with saving lives, not with where the money's going to come from, with saving as many lives as possible, and with allowing these firefighters. You saw how choked up the president of the Firefighters Association got. These men wanted nothing more than to go out there and save lives, and they were told that they couldn't. That can't happen again. That can't happen again. And so I appreciate President Trump coming out to Kerrville and all of the kind words that he had to say about all of the law enforcement and personnel in the area. I very much appreciate his kind words. However, what happened with Austin Fire can never happen again. Why even have a swift water rescue team if you're not going to deploy them when they are most needed? In one of the most tragic, deadly floods in the state's history. And this fire chief is too concerned with getting reimbursed because he can't understand it. So DEI or not, you decide. Let me know in the comments what you think the real issue is here. But I'm telling you, incompetency, evil, I don't care. That man needs to go. Even if it was one child, one life more that we could have saved. I don't know. You have the firefighters telling you it was a hell of a lot more than just one. But even if it was just one, it's disgraceful. And it can't happen again. By the way, I'm wearing a t-shirt and a hat right now with my hair back because I was at one of the animal shelters in the area trying to help. They had a large influx of, this is a no-kill shelter here in the state that had a very large influx of animals that came from the flooding zone. There's obviously so many different ways that that our state needs help right now. There are people, again, who lost everything. So I'm going to include in the description of this video on YouTube, which, by the way, guys, you should all be subscribed to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. In the description of this video, I am including links to donate. So you can donate supplies, you can donate money, you can donate. I mean, this is like for people, for specifics, or you can donate to one of the animal shelters for the animals. There's obviously no shortage of things that we need help on. So if you can donate, please donate. If you can't donate, please volunteer if you're in the area. If you can't volunteer, if you can't do any of those things, please pray. Please pray for our state as we continue to clean this mess up. And part of cleaning up this mess means that the Austin fire chief has got to go. And we need someone more ready so that this never, ever happens again. And I hope that you guys will join me in praying for all of the victims. And I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you next time on Come and Take It.
Be sure to subscribe to Texas Scorecard on YouTube and click that bell to ensure you're a real Texan. If you liked this video and want to see more citizen-driven journalism, be sure to click like and go to texasscorecard.com to read about all things Texas. Texas Scorecard, real news for real Texans.